Hi, everybody. I was told that this mic is on, but even if it isn't, I believe I'm loud enough and I should be audible. As Matt said, my name is Anusha Naicker, and I am just delighted to be here today, delighted to be engaging with all of you and facilitating or talking some more about this really important topic. So I'm excited we're doing it in this fashion, where everybody's going to participate, where we're all going to be really engaged. I myself have spent a long part of my career in youth development and empowerment, so I like asking the controversial question up front: how many people in the room are under 35? And those of you that I know, don't lie about your age. Fantastic. So we do have a fair number. Khalil, put your hand down. Your gray hair is a dead giveaway, like mine. So I am excited to see such participation from persons under 35. Not that I don't want to hear from others. I certainly do want to hear from others, because you have the experience and the skill that we want to tap into. But I want to encourage the young people in the room to be particularly engaging. You know, let's try and tap into what it is you want to hear and help me guide the conversation to where you want to take it. All right, I'm open to that. So I am not going to speak for much longer because I know we have pretty limited time. I have a fantastic panel here sitting in front of you, and I want to ask them in under a minute to tell us a little bit about who they are. And I'm going to be a little traditional, what other people call old-fashioned, and I'll start with ladies first.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Advocate Pria Hassan. Whilst I'm an advocate, a mother, a wife, I love being the wife, by the way. I own a business called Women of Africa, founder of an organization that's involved in energy, petrochemicals, international trade. We have a construction division, a pharmaceutical division, a healthcare division, a construction division that also takes care of women in citrus farming. So part of that is logistics and automotive. Yeah, that's me in short. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to the gentleman in the middle.
Right, Dr. Eberl. You can hear from my accent, I was born and bred in Germany. I came out as a lecturer 30 years ago, 94, just before the elections. I'm a brandologist by trade, so I studied and have been consulting on brand leadership. And that's primarily what I do, working with leaders to help them build their leadership brand.
Thank you very much. And let's move on to you, sir. You see, I listened to you, and I didn't start with you, you see. So
you are a lady of your word. Let's give her a round of applause. She's doing such a good job. So my name is Bulelani Balabala. I am the manager at T's Entrepreneurs Alliance, which primarily focuses on capacity building, training, market access, grant funding for micro enterprises. We've got a nationwide footprint in all of South Africa's major townships and 2/3 of South Africa's townships. So yeah, thank you.
Fantastic. So whilst I'm super intrigued by all of my panelists, and I certainly want to get stuck into having a conversation with all of them, Bulelani, I think I really want to start with you, because there's something in what you said about capacitation and developing entrepreneurs that I find gripping. Let me start by posing a question, and we can round robin this question, even to folks in the room. So I'm from a certain era, pre-1994. That's when I schooled. And during the era that I schooled in, it was indoctrinated into me that you finish school. If your parents can send you to university, then you go study. Mine couldn't, so I studied when I worked. And then you get a job. Otherwise, you are not successful. You work for someone. You work at Old Mutual or at Standard Bank or somewhere. And these are great companies. I'm taking nothing away from them. But I want to ask you all, and I want to ask you all, that was my mindset. I use the word indoctrinated. That's what I was taught. How do we shift that mindset? How do we teach young people of today that entrepreneurship need not be my fallback? It need not be the option that I go to because I didn't succeed in getting a job to work for. It can actually be something that I do and I succeed at. And I really want to hear from this gentleman, because I believe you've done something to show success in that space.
Yeah, My advice is don't go into entrepreneurship. I'm kidding.
We'll turn his mic off.
I mean, so I've been an entrepreneur now 18 years, right? Sure. Sold the business 2 years ago. It turned into a manufacturing business, and we did very well and very successful in that business. But as the business I started when I was extremely young, I think I was 16 when I formally went into that entrepreneurial journey, registered the business and started trading. 2 years before that, I was doing odd, informal stuff, you know. But for me, I think the big thing really in changing the mindset, I think it's showing and unpacking entrepreneurship in its honesty. Right, and I think, and I think the honest conversation really is when you go into entrepreneurship, your passion will only account for 1% of what you'll do every day.
Right.
And I think that's the important thing, because consistently we even make the mistake of walking into laundromats or bakeries or dry cleaners at the car wash, and you say to the guy, you whisper in his ear, "Man, you're so good. When are you starting your own thing?" And sometimes that's the worst thing, because he'll go and start thinking that he will acclimatize the same number of customers that were coming into the business, but he will then fall and flat because he was good in that business because he was supported by the systems and processes that were operational within that business. And I think for me, it's also that's the first part, right? The second thing for me is being very clear around the fact that entrepreneurship is tough. You can do everything right and still not succeed in the time frames that you have in mind, or even when you measure it out against your peers.
Right.
But however, I think really the mindset that we really need to be driving for is not the mindset that says develop and start the tool. It's a mindset that says capacity build. Let's bulk up the mind. Because when you bulk up the mind, even if you are operating as a cleaner, as a CEO, as a janitor, whatever the case is,
right,
you've got the entrepreneurial mindset that says, I need to enterprise in whatsoever space that I'm in. And enterprising for me says, if I sweep the floors, I must sweep the floors so well that people ask who swept the floors.
Gotcha.
Because that then becomes what you call in business a USP, a differentiating factor. When I've got the differentiating factor in place, then people want to know who I am. But the more they want to know who I am is the more business they want to give me. So which then beckons the consistent conversation, because we're all here under the premise of potentially even meeting other people in networking. And I've always said to people that, when you give someone a business card, you've got a 0.5 millisecond opportunity to capture their attention. But you're doing nothing different from the next person. You're giving out the same business card. And every time you engage someone, you tell them the same story. Hi, my name is Trudy. I work from Adapt IT and we do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That doesn't stand out. There's nothing about that then becomes unique. But when one is able to then speak about the effects and the impact of their work, that sets you apart in any room and any space. So I think for me, the big thing that we really need to then advocate for initially is to say, bulk up the mindset so that wherever you are right now, apply that mindset. So that when you then decide to transform that and apply it into various tools, and tools could be a job, it could be as a consultant, could be as an independent contractor, it could be as a business owner, it could be as whatsoever the case is, then you know that you're applying that with the fact that you would have actually bulk up the capacity,
right,
your brain capacity. Thank you.
Excellent. Fantastic. If anyone else from the panel would like to input, you're welcome to, or I'm going to take this to the floor.
I think I wanted to say that for me it was different. I also came from pre-1994. But I believe that everybody has an entrepreneurial passion in them. It's about how you connect with it and what you decide to do with it. I refuse to be stereotyped in terms of thinking, well, you're going to get a good career and that's all you're going to do. I decided I'll drive a truck while I put myself through university, and I decided that whilst I was driving the truck, very few females actually were driving trucks in our country. So my passion was ignited. I still qualified as an advocate, but I took that knowledge and that connectivity and I turned it into a business, and like 30 years later, I have no regrets. So I want to say, please, 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 even if you're a corporate individual, reach down inside of you and pull out that idea you've been packing on a shelf for so long. Dust it off, bring it into this room, and we will tell you how to unlock that Pandora's box. Thank you.
Fantastic. So if there's nothing else from the panel, I actually want to hear from a few of you, right? What do we do to create that mindset shift that I need to work for somebody else, that I can actually be an employer, that I can establish something worthwhile, that I have what it takes? I mean, you've heard from our esteemed panelist. She did it. Anybody? Yes.
I think one of the things that was fascinating to me is you mentioned that for entrepreneurship to really work is in one space you've got the support of the network and the processes, and then when you become an entrepreneur, you don't, because you don't know what that gap is. What would you say that gap would be from moving from, being in a corporate or being an employee to an employer? What support are you looking for? Because that's not common knowledge.
Yeah, and that's something that I've put up here, like what is support? Nick, I saw you pick up your mic, so go for it.
I think what you need first and foremost is access to market, right? You need to have a way to identify your first customer. You need to have a way to listen, speak to them, understand what it is they really need, and then you need a way to configure, to give them what they want. That's key.
For me, it was a go-to person. And in those days, we didn't have a really big support structure, so I utilized my family. I went to my mom to teach me how to look the part. I went to my uncle, who was in insurance and finance, to teach me the basics of financial management. I looked to my inner circle to start off with. And once I built that circle, then I started to seek professionals. Even today, I cannot do this on my own. I have a coach I connect with 3 times a week, and I'm diligent about that. It's about a lot of discipline. You can have the greatest concept, but to unpack that concept, you need people behind you to drive it. Don't be shy to ask.
Do you know what I find intriguing is 2 of the panelists mentioned route to market. They talked about access and they talked about support by way of knowledgeable individuals. You need a coach, you need a mentor, you need someone that you can bounce ideas off. I find this intriguing, that the very first thing that neither of the panelists said was, we needed capital, we needed money. I'm not saying you don't need it, right? But I'm saying that wasn't front and center for them. It was, I have a passion, I have a plan, and I'm going to map this plan out. I'm going to chart a route to market, and I am going to determine who's in my network, who can I tap into, right? And then they put the other building blocks together. I want to tap into what Nick said a little bit further, because that is by far, and I've mentioned I work with young people. I work with young people globally because I'm in international development. So a lot of the entities I work for would be headquartered out of Washington, some in Germany, New York, etc. Here's the intriguing thing. We're not that unique. Young people globally face the same challenges we do, right? We like to think all of the problems are here in our part of the world. It's not the case, okay? The route, and I want to delve deeper into this because the route to market for me is what I find to be the biggest stumbling block. I have seen young people develop things that are nothing short of amazing. Water-saving solutions. You talk about the crisis we've had with electricity. I've seen young people do, fascinating things in that space. So they can put the concept together, but getting it into our hands, that's where they find the block. How? How do we get it? What is the path? What is the route?
Well, can I answer that? This young woman spoke to me earlier. I went to her and I asked her, what do you want to do? She said she wants to forge proper education at schools, irrespective of the culture currently created by the educators. I said, what do you mean? She said, I want to start my own school, focusing on grade 7 learners. Now, you talk about access to market. Here I am, I went to her. We need to learn to talk to people who demonstrate similar interests. They are the ones that will unlock and tell you, okay, this is what you ought to do. I would tell her, you need to come to WA Foundation, give me a budget, show me what you want to do, show me where it's worked. If not, let me handhold you to make it work. Why do I do it? Because philanthropists is where we ultimately become. We are great entrepreneurs, but entrepreneurs have a short lifespan. Without turning it into philanthropy and investing in you, we are not going to survive. So route to market is all about you taking the initiative to come and ask me or someone like me.
So let's unpack the young lady who brought that question. Now you have a response. I'm not sure who it is there at the back. And everybody's pointing in opposite directions. Is it a group of you? You can help each other.
You're talking about our previous.
Yeah? Yeah, that's you. So how do you respond to that? Come, let's unlock this potential. Talk to me about how, talk to me about.
Go, girls. Go for it. Go for it. Okay. Here's your mic. Come.
Okay. Hi, my name is Victoria. I'm from Orange Farm. So, like Pria just said, I spoke to her this morning. I basically started this. It was an idea that I had when I was doing my thesis back in Wits. One of the schools that I was put in, we had to just teach kids. So when I got to grade 7, this kid could not read or write in English. So I was like, okay, how did you get to grade 7, child? I don't understand. When I went to the teachers, this is what they said. I'll translate. Hi Tina, in other words, is we are not going to focus on a child who does not think that education is okay. The 6 that I have that is smart enough, that's okay with me.
Golly.
That's what they did. So I started with this kid and I was like, you know what? I don't mind. I'll take the time off work, whatever. We will just work on it. And then I started with the kids starting to read, teaching how to read the words, the A's, the R's, and whatnot. It grew until he's doing matric right now. And his brother actually also was like, okay, I can't get into university or whatnot. And I was like, you know what, fine, I'll do it. I went to Wits. I asked them, how can I help this kid? They were like, no, you're an alumni. You know the process, do it. I did it, he's in Wits right now. So that's where the whole idea started, of just going out with the kids. And then, yeah, like Pria said, it's just we have gatekeepers because we've been trying to apply for funding and whatnot so we can just get our own space so we can grow the classes and whatnot. That's one of the reasons why I came here, just to find out how do I get through these gatekeepers? How do I unlock the funding? Pria, thank you. Thank you. We shall talk more on this. Yes, thank you very much.
Well done. Thank you. Yes, I'm coming to you now.
So, yeah, I think, I love the fact that you're going to give her money. Let's give Priya a big round of applause, right?
No. I didn't say I'm going to give her money. I'm going to show her the money and make it work for her. It's a big difference. Big difference.
I was about to close the deal for you. And the camera's recording. But, I love the challenge that you have. I think that long-term fixation of having a school is a beautiful one. I think it's a short-term fixation. Your short-term fixation is to say, who has the school? And how do I take this IP that I have and get it into those schools? Because when I get that IP into schools, I build a model and a funnel. Then I'm also able to segment my customer. Was that young man or lady that you were able to help your actual customer, or was that by the way? Because sometimes we then consolidate that individual and then we profile them as a customer, but you have not dipstick across various elements of the market. The moment then you're able to do that is you build more than just a proof of concept. You build a model. So now when you then come to me and say that you've got money, you need money, you don't just demonstrate that one individual that you helped. You demonstrate other institutions that have given you the credibility to plug into them. And I think sometimes the big challenge is we are asking for the wrong things as business owners. Sometimes it's not the money that you need to be running for. Sometimes it's for you to understand who has the money and the person who has the money, who do they look at as an important figure? So there's something that called the diversion tactics. There's this book I've been working on for 6-7 years, but there's something called the diversion tactic which says this. In every space or in every segment that you are in, there's a leader brand, there's a challenger brand, second challenger brand, and a third. And then there are the 5th, 6th, and 7th who are competitors. The leader brand is the least likely to give you the attention that you need because you're not important. Who was the leader brand focused on? The 2nd and the 3rd. The 2nd and the 3rd are the ones who are the most eager in any market space to topple over the leader. So how then do you then work around that as a small business owner that wants to then gain share of voice when you don't have the budget? Make your offering appetizing to the second leader and the third. Because the moment you do that, then you get the attention of the first. And sometimes you don't go there and ask them to pay you. You go there and say that, how can I offer this service for free so that I can walk away with the credibility that says that I've done the work for you? The moment you do that, you understand that. And I think the big thing is to understand that it's not about you. Your real story doesn't matter until it matters. That's a big thing that we need to understand. So sometimes we're then over-fixated in thinking, I love this idea, it's important to me. So your self-importance you should never ever overplay and overstate your position. You should understand the market and how the game works. There's a system. Understand the game and play the game. The moment you play the game, then you win, because you understand how the people in the game operate. The moment you've got share of voice in the game, then now you can start to set your own rules within that particular game. But my big thing for you is to say, who are the brands, who are the school educational brands that you'd like to work with? Go to those individuals and pitch this to them. The secondary part for me is then go to the actual parents themselves and try and pitch this to them. If there is a way of even finding I think alternate support groups. And what I mean by alternate support groups would be, you are offering the support to kids that are struggling with. Who would be the most likely individuals to show you those kids? And then could I then get, with the moment I've identified those kids, could I then get funders or guys who are within the educational trust, corporates that are focused on that, to then fund those programs that you are running, because you've already identified who the customer or the beneficiary would be at the end of the day. So same product, different ways of selling, different customers, different corporates, and different ways of accessing that support. And you might even find that after doing this for 2-3 years, you might even say you don't need a school, because your value proposition is so strong and so big that everyone wants it.
Yeah. Excellent. Excellent. Do you know, I think Bulelani summed that specific point up so well. And the key thing I would say is, you're looking for true systems change when he says to you, take your product and introduce it into the scholastic system, for example. Take your product and introduce it into the TVET system, for example. Why? Because that system houses 1 million previously disadvantaged young people. So yeah, we talk about a school in a specific area, but when you embrace true systems change, you have the ability to scale and you have the ability to bring true change. That leads me on to asking, and I want to tap into Nick here for a bit, because I've worked with a few of the key stakeholders in Germany, and we are super smart at what we do. We're super smart at building. I believe we're really good at innovation, but somehow, Nick, how do they have innovation built into their genetic makeups? I don't know. Because the systems, I think, that I'm referring to, particularly that prepare young people for this space, for entrepreneurship, are so cutting edge in that international space. And I think there's a few things we can unlock from that. There's a few things we can learn from that. So what can you tell us about innovation in this space specifically?
Well, in Germany, it's very much a strategy. They call it hidden champions. So what they've done for many, many years is that they identified certain niches where they want to become one of the top 3 market leaders globally. So, for example, shopping trolleys or dog leashes, retractable dog leashes. And that's what they focus on. That's where the jobs come from. In fact, they've got more than...
And you would think it's not a retractable, that's such a simple, you would think, hey, they invest all of their innovation in Mercedes-Benz, and now you're talking to me about a retractable dog. I think that's fascinating.
95% of German businesses and employers are family-owned businesses.
Wow. Yes.
Right?
Wow.
And they are the leaders, they are creating the jobs, they're building businesses, and they're literally conquering markets all over the world.
Fantastic. How do you guys talk to me, some of the young, do we have some post-it notes? Do we have some questions? Let's tap into the brains and the expertise in this room. Yes, sir.
Quite fascinating about the innovation, because I'm Gen Z, so innovation is basically... So, Doctor, I'm Gen Z. Innovation is basically something that I'm familiar with. Me personally, I always wondered, why do people always get the normal jobs, doctors, lawyers, and what. But other faculties, like Faculty of Business, there's studio work, which is music production. And I feel like it's underrated because one time I went to apply at one of the colleges here in South Africa, and there were 2 of us who wanted to do music production. But when I checked, there are a lot of producers, like it can be it can be like a big thing if it can get noticed, because there are a lot of record labels that have minimal producers, if you can put it. And I believe if there will be unity, we can achieve more. And regardless of studio work, like I have other fanatics such as photography and cybersecurity, although I can't do cybersecurity because of my box. But on the innovation side, I believe that photography and music can unite, because without photography, there wouldn't be music videos. Without photography, there wouldn't be motion picture production. And I believe that if we can focus more, or we can include those 2 on innovations, we can go somewhere. Thank you.
Sorry, behind you, we're going to respond to that just now, but the gentleman behind you. Yes, sir.
On the side. Good day, everyone. Thank you so much to the panelists. Everything's so amazing how you guys are saying it. I'm also a young person just like him. I'm in an innovation space of it. So I'm in a process of building an integrational app that has to do with sending a battery percentage to the next person using an app, right? Where we can end people panicking in airports, young people not having access to be able to use their cell phones, or anyone who's traveling therefore from one point to another. So you can be able to send a battery percentage to the next person using the app. So now my thing is this. You guys spoke about mentorships and coaching. I have a little bit of fear with that because I once came up with an idea. I think I tapped too much into finding a mentor more than understanding the segments that I'm in. So I want to get at least the best advice is it the right time for me at this moment to get a mentor with what? Because we've already had the first interface built. So I don't know if it's something that I should look into getting a mentor, or I should just target straight to the market and go to find my target markets and stuff.
That's a great question. Go for it, Doc.
Yeah, no, the best mentor you can get, any question that you have, go to ChatGPT. You'll be amazed. ChatGPT, Perplexity AI, you will be amazed. Because obviously they've got access to billions of data points. They will give you some very good ideas.
Yeah, and I'm gonna come to you just now. Let's just pause, because you've made a few really important key talking points that I want to segue into. And I wasn't gonna bring it up, but I wanted it to come from some of the youth in the target audience. Because you spoke about AI, he's talking about app development. I'm not tech savvy at all, totally scares me. But that's your buzzwords, right? You guys are digitally savvy. You guys are exposed to digital skills on another level that you would need to mentor me on. So I want to tap into yourselves and our panel. These are what we call 21st century skills, right? Tapping into digitization, digital skills, AI, etc. And hands are going up. So I don't want to talk too much. But what do we do? What can move us forward in this space, this entrepreneurial space, using those cutting edge skills, if anything? And I'm going to come to you. Yep, we had another hand. You can take a minute to think about that while we speak to the lady at the back.
Yeah. Good afternoon. How are you? I'm good. Thank you so much for the opportunity to actually be amongst great entrepreneurs and learn a lot. My name is Ntombi. I'm a managing director for Izimbabwe Women's Organization. So when I started this company, I thought there was a gap within women and they are not employed GBV, but I saw that there's a lot of people who are actually mainly focusing on that. And then recently I started going to okay, I started working at the rehab, and it made me realize a lot of things that our communities are actually suffering from, which is drug addiction and substance abuse. And then I studied to be a counselor, an addiction counselor, sorry. So with me going to rehabs and working through that initiative, it made me actually understand that we are actually trying to develop our community, make them become empowered to employ other people, but we're actually not focusing more in what is affecting our country, which is drug and substance abuse. And then when I started going to tapping on that information. But now my question with all that is, I'm a consultant where, let's say you have a problem with addiction and you can't go to a rehab. I'm able to sit down with you, convince you, and show you the importance for you to go to a rehab. So that's what we do right now, me and what I'm doing right now. So I wanted to ask a question on how can I actually grow that as an entrepreneur, and how can I also put that into a landmark and help other people, because I'm sure it's not only affecting my community, a lot of people are actually being affected by it. So that's my question.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Excellent. Panel, my timekeeper has reminded me I've got on or about 5 minutes left. So I want to turn it over. I've got 8 minutes? All right, cool. So we can talk for a little bit longer. So let's come back to you from the panel. We've had a very interesting question from the gentleman at the back in relation to innovation once again. He wants to delve a little deeper. And then the question from the lady there at the back, and my question specifically relating to skills, like what kind of skills should we focus on if we want to delve deeper into this entrepreneurial space. So let's try and talk around those points. Who would like to go first?
Well, I just wanted to respond to you in terms of technology. The organization that I used once was a technology innovation agency. They were excellent in terms of at least ensuring that nobody can tap into your business idea once you've started sharing, because I'm assuming from your story somebody hijacked your plan, right? So that is very important. Connect with agencies like this, and yeah, you can talk to us if you want the information.
And I'll second that. I've worked closely with Tia myself previously. Very, very good in terms of enabling and providing support to entrepreneurs and entrepreneurial development. So definitely tap into that. Gentlemen, who would like to go first?
Sure. You know, I think there's a consistent conversation we have with friends who are entrepreneurs and the sort. I think the idea of holding back on sharing because it's going to get stolen, and then the reality that if I put it out there and I tweak it by a percentage, it's no longer the idea that you put out there. So I think for me, don't have that fear. You know, share it, because if you put it out in the market, they'll steal it anyway. The big thing that you need to perfect is how you do it. Yeah. The execution part is what I've realized that can't be stolen. In most cases, because there are brands that we have sat in meetings with, you know, meeting moves from one person to 10 executives, from 10 executives to 30 of them, they're national ones, from the national to 80 with their global teams, and then the conversations died down. Then 6 months later, they're implementing what we were talking about in the meeting. But you get it. And then about a year later, whatever they put 100 million in, they can. So I think really for me, the big thing that one needs to then segment is how you actually do that. And part of that really then speaks back to building credibility around your consistency, right? Consistency is not really just about showing up, it's also in how you show up and the perception that you build up in how you show up within the various platforms in and around the market. But I think for me, you know, to the benefit of everyone in the room, the big thing really around technology, especially making it palatable for all of us, is really, I think from the first thing is that not overthinking what technology is. And I think we've done a big disadvantage in thinking about innovation only in the technological sense. Because I love what he said, right? Because technology, or rather innovation in and itself, is when two ideologies collide.
right.
When two
That's right.
ideologies collide and they come together, that's innovation. It's when the camera meets the cell phone.
That's right.
And other technological advancements. So when you think about that, any business can have technological capabilities to it. So if we then driving all the young individuals to start developing blockchain tools so that they're able to then run their businesses, then we're throwing them completely off.
That's right.
Then the biggest challenge that we then build up is that whenever there's a buzzword, we say go to the buzzword, but don't take what the buzzword is all about and then implement it within your business. And I think that's an important thing. There's this thing that we did 2 years ago. We're doing it next year as well. We did it last year, we're doing it this year. We took township entrepreneurs to something called Viva Tech in Paris. Now, the beautiful thing about that is you then get to see live demonstrations of any business can have technological capabilities, whether it's a GP, whether it's a consultant, whether it's a professional. So the big thing that we really need to then drive towards is to say, be the strongest in whatsoever you've got capabilities in, and then seek out from what Dr. Nick is talking about, whether it's AI, whether it's ChatGPT, and the sort, and utilize that as an enhancer to whatsoever you are strong in. And I think that's really one, then it becomes easier for you to then choose which platforms are you going to use. Is it going to be a Canva, or do I pay a designer depending on the scale and the size of my business, right? Is it going to be ChatGPT, or do I then invest time in watching some YouTube tutorials so I learn how to build my own bots? And you put input data in there so that you become savvy in responding to RFQs and all those documents. Without spending 7 hours reading it, you build a chatbot, you put all those documents in there, it inputs all the answers that you need, So I think that's one of the ways, in my view, we could make it a more palatable conversation.
Sure. Super useful, super insightful. I believe I only got on about 3 minutes left, so I want to give Nick a chance just to wrap some of your thoughts up with us, and then I want to chat to at least one more young person in the room. And if I have time, I will wrap up with, I've only got one, okay, I'll try. Go for it, Nick, in 30 seconds.
Okay, one tip. If you go to CIPC online, you can patent protect your idea for 60
Fabulous.
bucks. Okay, cool. So that already communicates you're serious. Because ultimately, big brands don't want to end up in the court of public opinion. They don't want to see a headline, XYZ stole my idea. So you got to communicate.
Yes. Fantastic. Thank you so much, Doc. And then I do think there's value in one last question that I have, and I'm going to pounce on an old-time colleague of mine, Khalil. I'm going to pounce on you a little. Khalil and I have known each other for decades. We've been in the corporate space together. We've been in international development together, and now he's an entrepreneur, budding one. And the thing that I have found that you have pulled, the golden thread through all of these years, has been your ability to collaborate. Collaboration has been front and central to you. And I think collaboration in this space is so important, because I had a young lady here speaking about schools and skills, and there's a young lady that I met, Revati, there at the back, that's also thinking, already doing work in that space. Great idea for you to collaborate. But as I say that, Khalil, what is the secret sauce behind collaboration? How do you get it right and manage those risks, like someone's going to steal my idea,
So I'll consider myself speak now. Psychologists at present are telling us...
And you got 1 minute, sorry.
One of the most important traits in people that they can exhibit is a trait called agreeableness. Agreeableness is not being a yes man, but it's having a disposition in which one is able to compromise and work together with other individuals or teams in order to achieve greater goals. It's literally the opposite of being a narcissist. A narcissist's focus is on themselves and what they can achieve or what they can derive from other people, on the back of other people. Agreeableness is the opposite of narcissism. It's working together collaboratively. And I think if I can distill it in my few seconds that I have into one word, in order to collaborate, in order to form effective partnerships, it's to be an individual who demonstrates the trait of agreeableness.
Well done. And perhaps you can teach us that art sometime. Ladies and gentlemen, a parting thought, I know I'm at time, from the young people in the room, just one word: ambition, mindfulness, collaboration. What is the one word that you can leave me with? If you feel more comfortable, stick it on a post-it note, stick it up. But I want to hear from you. What is the one word that comes to mind post this session? Just throw the words at me.
Energy.
Energy, fantastic. Yes, ma'am. Empower. I'm from an organization called Empower, so I love it. We're kind of telepathic here. Yes, let's go. More. Potential. Respect. Discipline. Integrity, absolutely. Confidence, yes. Commitment. Consistency. Yes, ma'am. Say again. Passion, of course. Brilliant. Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Matt's got his mic up.
Okay, guys, we're done. We need to do a turnaround. Thanks to the panel. Thanks to Anusha. Give them a round of applause, please.
Thank you, panel.
Please.